Hey you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? I just keep hearing living on the edge. And I feel like there's probably a couple kind of energies to sit with this share, as far as a gentle reminder of us in human form, as or rather as consciousness in human form. It's like we're, and I get this, it's like when you think of a shooting star and you think of the most powerful or brightest point of the star. And I don't know if this is like scientifically factual, I'm just like thinking of the imagery of it, but like a shooting star darting across the sky, the leading edge of the star is the brightest, the most powerful, you know, thing. And then the behindness of it is like faded. And so we, as individuated aspects of consciousness, as a spirit essence in these material bodies and what we call the material world, we're that leading edge of materiality. And that leading edge of materiality is consciousness in its creation, consciousness and in its potential. And every single one of us as a human form have this access to the Christ, access to this manifested, or rather divine manifestation path, which simply means we manifest for the highest good of all. We manifest for the intent to live in harmony and in heaven ultimately. And the living on the edge, I suppose, again, it feels like pushing boundary of thought, pushing boundary of our ability to be with energy in our container, in our wholeness, our ability to be presence rather than judgment or reactivity. I say all these things, and it's a moment to look at myself. The narrative from a friend and someone who views these videos from times message that to me about, remember to always turn the narrative into self-reflection, right? So in truth, the things that I share here are as much for the self, the knowing of the self, as they are the reflection and the mirror and the way we learn and grow and support one another in the journey. Ah, okay. So there's a powerful image coming through right now. It's like one by one, or not one by one, but there's been a false flag kind of leadership, and everyone's being guided, the masses. I talk about sometimes the freight train, but we're like being led to the edge in such a way, the material world, the destruction path. And it's like we've been led there, and everybody's kind of following, and there's momentum, right? And we might, the first person might get to the edge of the cliff and go, whoa, 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 guys, like stop, right? um and ideally, with cycles and with evolution and with greater awareness, we don't just have to like blindly go and like knock everybody off, right? We can go whoa, 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 and kind of regroup and make a conscious decision. Like maybe we should put some safety stuff on before we jump off that cliff, or maybe actually we should navigate a different path, or maybe we should build some things that can help us get down safely and then get in the water and then da, 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 right? But it's like we've been running that program, and then we got to the edge of it, and now we kind of had to regroup and navigate with a little greater awareness, i.e., realizing we are on a higher cliff edge. We do have an ability to see more clearly and to see with, I want to say, to see with greater technology, to see with that eye of an advancement of our own soul. And so that's this ownership and recognition of our consciousness as a creator, as a creative being, channeling the thought and aligning the thought with our emotional field, there's a presence now in regards to our emotionality where we embrace all of the feeling, sensation, and emotion as the self and lean into it with as much love and compassion as possible. And that is what is continuing to up level us. We're still moving through this gateway of residue, and at the same time we're leaping. There's just this kind of perpetual leaping stage that I feel actually we've probably been in for the last 18 months. And then these last few months shifting, there's like another 12 to 18 month sort of portal or window of this same sort of ugh, really kind of tiring shifting and residue and looking, and I deserve better, and I deserve this, and we all deserve this, and we can, hey guys, hey in the music now. That's Revelate Records, Natalie Rose. Hello, hello. So and I'm just hearing now we're like we're stacking it up. So you could say we're like we're looking at ourselves, we're taking it all in. Just on a personal level, this might be relevant to some of you. I'm not sure, but I'm getting that there's actually on this specific cycle because because we're a lot more practiced at being the anchor of light in whatever the whatever the residue energy is that's revealing itself to us, that some of us are looking at a lot more ancestral uh cellular patterning. So it might feel and look more real than it has in a little while, like in the last few years, and yet it's not. We're still facing the illusion of the past, right? And yet the way we the way we work with it, the way we love it, the way we lean into it is super like the juice of life, right? Is the transformational elixir that we're endeavoring to embody through the divine channel that we are in our mind, in our heart. We vibrate in the heart, we feel and feedback off of it. But once we're really in that kind of perspective shift of being the present observer, being that silent witness, being that heart flow of love in any situation, ultimately, it just totally kind of shifts that set point, and the intuitive merging is becomes the whole, becomes more the whole experience. And I gotta say, because it's been quite diligent practice, and certainly a huge shift for me 3 years ago, where it was like locking in or anchoring into that intuitive um, merging process. It's so aware, you could say, that we've hit the tipping point, in such a way, and yet we will still see a whole bunch of stuff unfold in the manifested world. But those unfoldings, and it's like it's so like because we might still be sitting with residue of past, so we might still be sitting with like the persecution energies or the abandonment, or like it never works out for me, or like it's always life is just a fucking disappointment, perpetual, and like nobody gives a shit, and and like we can still be in the residue, or like lifelong fear patterns that we've dealt with forever, and like they're coming up and we're like, yeah, and we're wanting to really like run away and escape last times. And we might be having kind of paranoia energy, and like interesting things come up for us, and yet it's all the residue, it's all the speed with which we've been clearing. And that I see it as like a, so instead of like just becoming the stew, we're so much more present with it. We're kind of clearing it and comes up, and clearing it and comes up, and it's subtle. This is something I'm super aware of as well. The living on the edge is the fact that we're actually living more and more present in the subtlety realms, in the it's just so subtle. Like you could be aware of the disparity of your subtle awareness versus the leading edge physical, the collectively agreed dominant reality. And dominant, I mean, more people think that the external world is more real than the internal world, and that the paradigm shifters here, what the reason it's a tipping point is that there's like enough human minds and hearts woke to their divinity self, and thus like boom 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 boom, like anchoring in and like, and because there's an intuitive knowing with a certain scientific, like scientific credibility, you could say, and or recognition. There's and this is part of the one self merging with the Holy Spirit or the intuition, is that it's it's like these new energies are now fully, there's momentum moving in that new direction. And more of us are just ugh, stepping into these new energies. And every day, every day just is like there's more stuff. And then but then at the same time there's like these subtle clearings as well. Hey John Beanie, how are you? Hi you guys. I do love you. Uh yeah, and we're reflections of that, aren't we, right? The channels of light. We are all that. Oh, hola, Rochelle. You guys are just amazing. I'm happy Sunday to you. It's funny. I came on to go. I came on to go live, but I was unlisted, and then I something happened, and I for some reason like stopped the video, and then I was gonna go unlisted again, and then but I didn't, and now we're here, and you're all here, and I'm just so happy to see you, and I like for 90 days, it's too much. Is that the rule? Is that the rule for um here for YouTube? I've only changed mine. Actually, I've probably changed it a couple times, but I'm pretty fixed on the Alta Love TV vibe-ish, if you know what I mean. The universe wanted us to chat for shizzles, manizzles. And then John Beanie, I probably thought of you specifically regarding like, it's Sunday morning. This is our like, it is our normal live chat time. Like this is how the live chats all started for Alta Love TV, right? And then we're here. So yeah, the living on the edge, right? Oh, I got you in the music now. Yeah. Okay. So 3 times within 30 days, and then they force you to take a break, right? You guys are awesome. Rochelle, I'm gonna watch that video about numerology and stuff as well. Revelate Records is still Revelate, not in the music. So and I guess I just wanna I'm wanting to say to us, like, the mad props, like, pats on the back, moflo lovers, and then I also get the image of, like, being on stage and having, like, a whole bunch of yous sitting down in the audience, like, a whole bunch of ya, like, giving yourself a round of applause, and the person on stage, it can be all aspects of you, every incarnation, the inner child, the adult, the broken self-hater, the the unworthy denied feminine, the corrupted greedy whatever, right? We could actually see all the aspects of the self that we are, and then look out into the sea of audience and like yees on stage, and we's get the pews. Do you know Scouse? Yeah. Yeah, John Beanie, right? And then applaud it. Like applaud existence. Applaud creation. And then you as the yous, either as the child or as the adult, is like, oh thank you. Oh, thank you very much. I know. I'm alive. It's fantastic. And quite intense. Hence compassion. And figuring all of this insanity out, right? Because there is an aspect to that uh corrupted, cyclical, low level, bass tone expression, i.e., the word cycles, the poverty, the oppression that's like painful to our heart. That's what we're like waving. That's what all these emotional storms are, in essence, for a lot of us. It's these waves of healing through the light frequencies that Earth is moving through uh, in her traveling through the solar system, that at different points in those travels there's going to be a different frequency that she moves into, and we're like here and we're along for the ride, and our ego really is this aspect of self moving from darkness into light, thinking that we're separate, and then realizing that we're actually a unified being. And so the ego is really just metamorphosizing. I'm not sure the word. So the ego is like, it's like going from this thing that wants to fight against the world to this thing that like we embrace, to this thing that we, from within the heart field, the mind and or the ego self kind of merges with the heart field and then contains all of existence, contains all the darkness. It's like, you could say almost as well, like you can, with your soul essence, you could merge with Earth Akash, you could merge with the universal Akash, you could merge, you can, in your essence knowing, because we can't, there's no comparative to that. You can't, I think we're so in fear sometimes that we're just perpetually seeking the validation external. But on some point on your individuation manifestation path, there is only the self, and the self is the totality. And so you have access to infinite intelligence, but it's not for a comparative analysis. It's not for some externalized see, recognize me, or see that I'm right in the external, because it's the visceral knowing from within this self that is the full knowing of the all, of the totality. And yet there's a humility and grace to it because it's recognizing its individuation. It recognizes that it is the reflection of the fullness of its own knowing, and yet it has chosen this singularity, this point of focus to just allow itself to know more about the darkness, to know more about separation, right? Hey, you guys. Same. I have a similar thing now. It's like loving the ugliness, or the the shamed bits, or like, oh, the super tired, like super scary stuff, like really going into it and being thankful for it, for teaching, because we know that all the suffering, whatever patterns we've carried and worked through and are working through, we know that they've actually taught us a lot of this stuff for, whatever miraculous reason, our depression or our anorexia or our our emotional abuse, or whatever, right? It's actually all of that crazy stuff has really, really assisted the empath to refine our abilities, right? Because it's that intuitive, empathic, sensitive abilities. That's our gifts. That's our gift to the world. Like, we have these superpowers, y'all. We have this, like, these invisibility cloaks that help us, like, feel into the presence and suss out, like, what energies people are carrying. It's like next level human evolution, right? And finally, the great awakening is that enough of the mass consciousness isn't afraid of the light anymore. We're not going to kill ourselves. We're not going to persecute ourselves. We're not going to deny ourselves anymore. We're over it. We're like, yeah, I've been there, done that, did that whole separation game. And now we get to move in to these more supported energies, those of us who have been anchored into doing this emotional and or just healing the soul and the heart of humanity, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So, John, that's so the juice, isn't it? It's been like, and we all get that. I think that's the point of why we're all here for each other. It's like the higher self and the divine self is like, you have to keep going. We're moving this energy stream forward, and it's out of love, right? And like, who are we not to? That's like the classic Marianne Williamson quote. uh My greatest fear is not that I'm inadequate. My greatest fear is that I'm powerful beyond measure. It is my light, not my darkness, that most frightens me. Something like that. And it's so relevant when you start really doing this inner work, because you start to realize that there were maybe times in our lives where we showed up as a child or a teenager and we went, this is me, this is who I am, and some authority figure or just someone in our lives said, don't you dare, and we and we got scared and we shielded and we hide and we go, okay. And then that's when we start to get all these really clever, because they are protective mechanisms, i.e., the people pleasing, i.e., the reactive pain body is don't you can't see who I am because one time or maybe two times somebody scolded me for who I was. Somebody told me not to shine. Somebody told me not to be loud. Somebody told me not to speak up, and I listened and I absorbed that. And we recognize that through the ages, is that's the darkness, that's the veil of our human experience, that we're now in this great phase of great awakening where we're lifting the veils, right? And we're looking at those childhood wounds and going, actually, we're all allowed to express, we're all allowed to be who we are, and we are divine. And John, by the way, your music's fantastic, and and every song is great and it's incredible. Like any, I would say like pro star music would be like, this is what you do, just play and write a song, and some songs will be better than others, but then none of that even matters, right? Because this is the thing, I bet you might think that, like, you might have a song sometimes where you're like, I don't know about this one, and then like look, everyone's like, oh my god, this is the fucking juice of life. And then other times you might be like, oops, shoosh, sorry. I just picked up and then had to hang up. I'll call them back. But then other times it's like the opposite, where you might be like, oh yeah, I'm digging this. Like I might do a share where I'm like, I'm thinking this is the business, you know. And then actually there's like some dislikes, or and then I was saying that about John, like you might think that's the most awesome one, and like it gets less views, and you're like, interesting. And that just makes me think how we're not here to judge ourselves, right? We're not the ones that are here to judge ourselves, but isn't it nice to be creative? Isn't it nice to just share? And like, does it really matter, right? Like, does it matter? And because think of how we would want to share that love with an innocent, a child who's just practicing. We can only get better, and we can only become more aware. We can only let ourselves shape shift. And there's so much juice, there's so much content, there's so much creative elixir just by showing up every day, right? It is, and that's the truth. And this is that revolution. Ultimately, you could say, is that we tap that creative spark, we practice it. That's the elixir. That's our divine spark. That's our gift to the world. So we get good at practicing, and we get good at sharing that. And then that's the outpouring of the creative essence that we are, and the benevolence of leading edge is that sans concern for the external world, other that you allow it to be what it is and live through right action. The gifts, these divine gifts that we're sharing, that's the reap what you reap what you sow. And so now with these different energies shape shifting the collective point of attraction, when we start to get better and better at sharing these creative essences, that is our resource for the world. That's how we're going to attract the people, the resources, the whatever it is that we're calling out to, right? So we are living in these sort of amplified manifestation times, and I do really believe that we're like, tell you what, MJ, I feel so good. Yes. Tech Victor, straight up as well. Like the energies are lifting, right? And we're feeling the benevolence of our creativity. We're starting to feel more of the like, this is happening. And also this spring, so solar return for Aries, and exactly. And it's funny, John Beanie, a friend of mine, we're talking about success the other day, and how a lot of us have unraveled that imprint of success to mean something. And like the true success is our sharing and our feeling good, and like even the embracing the feelings when they're kind of a bit gunky, that's super powerful, really good practice. Same. And that's to Rochelle's comment, I would say that's that subtlety of outworking, or just outworking those inner conflicts and how they show up in the world. I'm very aware of it. If my pain body gets reactive, I go into like savior fix it mode. Like, but then it can be kind of tough lovey as well. And then as soon as it goes to tough love, I realize like, shut up. Like who are you? Like what the blush are you talking about? Because then I realize I'm actually in a reaction. There we go. And then that's that protection, trying to cover it. And fortunately, again, because the inner circles are so aware, it's easier and easier and easier to be present with stuff, and or just to watch the self like go into those patterns and then be like, I see it, I see it, and then reel it in, come back to the center. The love you give is the love you get. Paul McCartney. So guess what, Revel? I am a graduate from a school called the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts in Liverpool. And Sir Paul is like he would have been probably one of the main, like, I don't know, trustees. He would have been on the board, or maybe he was just like a patron, but he probably donated some money early days to get because it's his old boys' school. And most of the Beatles, I think, if not all of them, went to this Liverpool Institute for Boys that went derelict during like when Liverpool went through its like crisis, like civil whatever. It had like really hard times, I think, in the 70s and 80s with some bad leadership. And then enter moi. I just but no, I moved to Liverpool in 2004, end of 2003, 2004. And yeah, and it was kind of, I think it had just won something called like the European Capital of Culture. And oh yeah, and this is actually relevant to the current political stuff happening in the UK, because back then Liverpool was granted the European Capital of Culture and it got a whole bunch of EU money. Hey UK, hey, look at that. Look at how you benefited from being part of the EU. Ugh. But anyway, so Liverpool essentially transformed itself. Like during my time, I lived in Liverpool for about 7 years, and finishing off basically going to India, getting the yoga career started really moving, and then I just started teaching full time, and I was guided by that point to leave the city, and not I didn't want to live in the city anymore. No, I didn't get Paul's autograph. It was kind of one of those like graduation like protocols. Everyone just gets their name called, right? Like however, there's like a few hundred of us probably, and then everybody one by one, you get your name called, and you just go up and like shake Paul McCartney's hand and smile for the camera. And I think he gave the girls like a smooch on the lip. So no, I know, like imagine that. And I guess because Paul's been such like an awareness in my field all my life, it's this weird thing of like sometimes you forget people are famous in that way. You just know them as like the hologram like you projected onto them. So I'm like, oh yeah, Paul, the vegetarian. I went veggie because of Paul and his wife Linda. And like, oh, he's from that amazing band in the 60s. Like you almost get used to it, right? And we knew he was an ambassador, right? Be a warrior of love. Yeah, love win. We give love. Love has always the potential to win out. I would say it's love that is the container of it all. Anyway, John Beanie. John Beanie, folks. 8 days a week. Yeah, we just need to photograph Sir Paul or any of his really awesome daughters with like an Ultra Love hoodie. That would be jolly good, wouldn't it? And then we'll find a little bit of land in Mexico, you guys, and figure out how to just pioneer true abundant sustainability and share the love hot vibrashe. I mean, it's fucking simple. And like, leave each other alone when we get on each other's nerves, simple things like that. Mutual respect, dignity, integrity. Things that we were taught are just like normal, and then a whole bunch of us have woke to something being like, oh, some people are still trying to get away with the bullshit. See, when I start to go a bit silly, I feel like I feel like um I don't know. I don't know. I just feel for I totally saw his MJ, what makes you feel accomplished? Oh, that changes so much from one day to the next. You know, just yesterday, it's funny you asked that, right? But like I I've been focusing fully on online entrepreneurship and ultra love and like it's still guiding me and I'm amazed. Like wowzers. Although locally speaking, one of the local teachers because I kind of like I anyway, I've been always guided, right? And sometimes so anyway, yeah, a local teacher just put out a call and so I covered a yoga class at a new space, never been there before. Part of why it was quite nice because I just got to like drop in and do my thing. And I got to say, that feeling of accomplishment, although it's not always been the norm for me, hence why I practice it and I encourage other empaths especially to practice giving yourself a little like you're doing a good job. But so after the yoga sesh, and granted that this was my full-time professional career for 10 years and I've just the last 2 months, 3 months since Bali, I've just gone fully online entrepreneur and no more teaching of the yogs. Long short story long rather, Tech Victor. I did this class yesterday or 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and after Shavasana, one of the ladies, like, came to, and she was just like, "Where did you come from?" Like, because she just felt super blissed, and that made me feel like yay. I just felt really kind of like proud in a way that I was like, well done. I have this, as in, like, I have things are a bit like, ooh, living on the edge, living on the edge. And yet I'm like, from this kind of broken, twisted child girl in heading into the world and being kind of depressed and suicidal and self-abusive and all of that and then doing this journey, this yoga journey that has really just helped me find myself. And then to be on that journey still of just finding myself here, with you guys. And then to actually look in the world of form as far as all that success stuff goes, although I don't think there's any real definition of it or definition of accomplishment. Uh, I actually like, and I feel weird. Like this is stuff coming up for me. I feel ashamed. I feel like, why do you want to know? Like that doesn't matter. I'm not, special or anything like that. And yet I did. I owned it. I was like, that's good. I'm so pleased. I have a skill. I have a skill that I can share with people, and I can help them feel good. I can help them feel calm and relaxed and like, and I would say that's an accomplishment. That's like a really nice thing. It is, Tech Victor. And like here's the thing. It's like hard work and like the inner hard work. The inner hard work of the love and the discipline that goes along with it. Like the showing up to class. And that's something after 10 years of teaching, it's like I never didn't show up. Even if no one was there, I'd have a personal practice. Even if only one person showed up for 10 years, it would be like I'd still deliver. I'd still show up and share and give. And that's yeah, that's the hard work, right? That's the discipline. That's the and right, and that is most of us. Cause you guys, let's just be straight up. We wouldn't res here. We just would not res with one another if we didn't get that. All of us. And we have. And this is the thing. Like people have been working their arses off. I was having a hardcore chat with one of my besties down here of being like, no, no, that's not the way. We're not going back to slavehood. We're not going back to breaking our backs for an illusion. We're not going back to that way. We're going to anchor in. We're going to feel the love hot bush, and we're going to trust. And we're going to trust that we're being guided to what we're asking for, right? And that every time is always a little bit of a runaround because maybe we're not as smart or all knowing as we think, right? And that's why I think that's where grace and humility comes in. Grace and humility helps us to release and surrender to the higher self and trust, perpetual, right? for art hard, and that's we're changing. Hard work truthfully is the heart of the reprogramming, I would say, and facing down the patterns and the emotional burdens. Meditation, mindfulness, learning how to look after ourselves, spending time outside, right? Like the stuff that we share with one another, that's what we're reflecting back, like feels more real and whole to us. And then the other, i.e., like that what we call the system, is like a hamster wheel of denial, limitation, and destruction, and corruption and manipulation. It's like all these puppet masters just like dictating to people keep that hamster wheel going, and yet it's our own accumulative fear that's been uh what's the word, projecting the movie. It's that and that's all the awakening is us kind of going, wait a minute, if I'm having the experience, it must be my projector, my perspective, right? And outworking that perspective for someone like me, and my experience was just more emotional than I thought. Plus, there's a lot in the world as far as us trying to control and demonize and shame the emotional fields. And so I see it as a huge piece of access for us is don't deny them. If you're resonating here, lean into them, embrace them, go into that field and let the body clear itself out. Water and blood, this is why our feminine cycle as women is super duper important, and again, why that system has imprinted so much shame. Ew, gross, your period. Ew, and that cycle is sacred, not just for women, because we are unified. That female cycle is important for the whole. The feminine wisdom that comes through the female body in those cyclical waves are guarding her blood, which is the blood of the whole, because we are all one. That wisdom that comes through is wisdom for the collective, and then more directly in our personal lives, the stuff coming through the female in the relationship around her cycle will be relevant to the relationship and the family and all of it, right? That's the kind of femininity, the women reclaiming their rightful wisdom in their body, so that men can be in their wisdom, right? It totally goes connected, and that's something that's next level. Probably in the coming years, I would hazard a guess that it would be 2 to I want to say 5, as much as 5. But the next kind of online series for All to Love is all about sexual energy and feminine feminine cycle and stuff, and how that, and not to make it divisive as way. I think this is a conversation for men and women to have together, right? Hey Pepe, how are you? Hi Stephen Helms, nice to see you here. Love easy, work hard, done. Yeah, and I think that's another big part of the shift, isn't it? It's like it's because I was saying as well, I live on flow and work on flow with intuition, and even the idea of hard work is completely different on flow, and or what you could say is hard work discipline is up leveled when you discipline to love, because then the discipline and or inspired action is like, some days, like, okay, in any given monthly cycle, I'll have peaks and troughs when it comes to my productivity levels. And yet I can accurately see my energy levels are more consistent and my productivity levels are more consistent. But the pattern isn't the exact same every single week. It morphs, it shifts. Why? Because I'm being guided. And so from one day to the next, from one month to the next, I'm creating something different. And now I'm in this flow. And then like you guys reflected back to me or offered that, as far as I had a huge like right after Spirituality Simplify launched, and then one of you privately emailed me being like, maybe you're having a come down from the launch, and I'm like, for sure, like that's for sure what's happening, right? Like I need a week or 2 to rest from after just the like creation, meeting, traveling the world, like these things. And it's like, yeah, you're allowed to just like have a come down from that, just relax from that, right? Oh yeah, thanks Rochelle. Thanks for reminding. And look, I'm just looking. There's 9 people, 3919. So today is a 333. And that might be relevant to some of you at 611. um like today, March 3rd, 2018 is 333. So it might be worth looking at, or unless Rochelle has a bit of info, I don't know, looking at the meaning behind the 333. Oh, John Beanie. Yeah, right? That's beautiful. And I'd say that I watched the Grindelwald, The Crimes of Grindelwald yesterday. Oh, hey, only love. Right. So it's just totally normal as an artist or a creator of any kind that when you have like momentum moving in a creative output and then you finish, it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's not like you plan it. It's just like this crash out. It's like a drug out. It's just this crash out of like, and I couldn't control it. I just almost couldn't wake up. I just slept for like days and then slowly but surely started to like get my vital energy back and was like, okay, life, I'm present with you again. And then it took, when did I start? And like literally it was like 2 weeks after the launch, I start creating Alta Vegan Love. So I basically just needed 2 weeks of like sleep, rest. Oh yeah, I binged watched a whole bunch of Friends as well. So yeah, I just like healed and rested, and then you get back on flow when you're guided, when the energies are available to you, when you're present and on flow, eventually it goes up again. And now we're here, and I'm about halfway through filming, and I'm gonna get a whole bunch more filming done this week. My case study goes back, but is staying like to do the material for the 8 weeks of veganism. Case study who's non-vegan. Hey, hello, Tina. So yeah, on flow, just work. And this is again with teaching or working with people client wise, it's like it's all just presence purely, and practicing presence purely, and living in that present state. And once you're more locked in, which might take a few experiences and potentially quite large emotional upheavals, that's my process personally. But once that kind of way of being becomes more anchored in, and you're like, you get a sense of who you are and what you're projecting into the field, and that all this stuff is working because you're feeling it and seeing it and sensing it, and you're more uplifted, then you like, it's like then you enter regenesis, then you enter, that is the new way of being. You are a transformational regenerative being, and you're perpetually casting and creating everything in your own field. It would just appear that when we're moving from that 3D up, or from that 3D into a unified field, there's a process, and all lots of us would have a slightly different process. But the reason we share is because it helps us reflect back that we are doing this together, that there is an individuation of intent, and yet there's a collective intent. Otherwise we wouldn't be here in a collective consciousness, right? Part of the mystery unfolding for the self is the external world and the other, because it reflects back to us our energetic learning. Oh, does it? I didn't know that. Multiple hearts. I sometimes had that as well, like friends who I just thought didn't like have emojis or something, and then they would like send different symbols, and 333 was some of them, and I just never knew what it meant, right? I love Only Love as well, by the way. Welcome. I'm not sure if I've seen you here before, but it's nice to see all the love, hot vibe. And our oh, I want to go up here. Aid and encouragement. Nice. Have been answered or something. Okay, cool. That's nice. So we're on 9 people. It feels like that's pretty solid. 333. 3 times 3 9, and then 3339. 369 is like a thing, right? As well. Nice one, you guys. So 44 minutes. I love these shares. Again, it's all on flow. It's just super, super serendipitous, and like, um, yeah, you guys are all here, and it's always a glorious thing to wake up and have chats with you. Yeah, 369 came through the Aluna channel as far as like the codes. And 369 seems to come seems to come up quite a lot. Oh, okay, yeah. And there's something even in the, like, in the infinity loop pattern, and that's like the code of creation. Anywho, something to noodle over for sure. Numerology and astrology, probably astrology first for me, but numerology as well is taking a little bit of a interest for me as probably a hobby. But of course, everything I do is shared here. So uh, any of those, I'm sure, will add value to the flow of this channel as you guys all do that. For people getting turned on by love and not the lustful kind. The pure heart love vibration, you guys. I'm like, God, can't we just love each other and not manipulate each other and take stuff and steal stuff from each other in the world? My God. But I do firmly know and believe in the fullness of my being that this world is shifting actually quite quickly. um, we will continue to watch world events unfold the collective narrative, and we're going to all be a part of it. We're just going to be anchored in the new love frequencies that are going to help us organize in a greater capacity and shift to a resource based economy so that the people of Earth can actually thrive and the world and humanity can thrive, right? Instead of all of this bizarre enslavement patterning of the dark. So that's we're good to go. We're heading into the light, my friends. We're in it. What am I even saying? We're in it. Add 9 to any number, and that stays itself. I'm a I'm 9. I'm a 2 and an 11. I'm an 11 and 2 for my birthday code numerology. Anywho, you guys are amazing. I hope you have I'm wishing you a happy, 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 happy Sunday. Happy, 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 happy Sunday. So I'm obviously not the musician here, you guys, but I'm sure John's likely to be releasing a song at some point today or tomorrow, so make sure to go check it out. And John's um, 5D Sky, or sorry, not John, Mike's 5D Sky. Hey, Mike. And yeah, just all the different things that we share in our channels. I have such love and appreciation for you guys. Oh, cool. I'll check it out. I know it's funny when we go through that where we like just get into like certain food or a certain song or a certain channel. I really like the astrologer. Her name is Adrienne Elise. Sometimes I share her stuff on my channel. I just really resonate. Plus, she were like, I get like a resonance in her look as well, randomly. Like, I feel quite kind of sisterly with her. Anywho, I digress. That's it from me, you guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here and supporting the channel and one another. Like that's what I really love about all this is just the way we show up and support each other. In just just keep going. Just keep loving. Have an awesome day, you guys. I'll speak to you real soon. Peace out.